Formula One is like a big holiday sometimes. With a click of the fingers from Chase Carey, we can be going to new and exotic places we've never been before, e.g. Hanoi. The 2020 race in a few rounds' time just sort of happened, and even though we're returning to Zandvoort, the changes to the track is kind of like a new track right now. But one of the future races we might be going to, in the homeland of Liberty Media, might be at a bit of a sticky wicket, with plans kind of in the way, out the way, and definitely, I would say, the biggest story before the car launches and the season gets underway. Welcome to F1 News 24/7, the news outlet from the F1 Debate Show where we talk about the biggest news and headlines in Formula One. This one, I would say, is a big one. Now, we've had races in America before, and of course the US Grand Prix at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin is a big one, but we've always wanted a second race, especially to bridge the gap to the fans over there. This one is the Miami Grand Prix, the street race, which will be a brand new circuit built for May of 2021. Now, plans were put into place by Liberty Media and Chase Carey. Of course, Liberty Media, an American firm, would love to race around there. A race around the Sunshine State is what we would love, but there is some problems ahead. For the race to go ahead, a lot of governments and authorities have to say yes to the race. This includes the Miami-Dade County Commissioners, the local Senate for Florida, the CEO of the Hard Rock Cafe Stadium, the advisors of the Miami Dolphins American football team, and the commissioner of the NFL, along with Liberty Media and basically the constructors and everyone behind the scenes who is going to be building the circuit. The district commissioner, Barbara Jordan, who is in charge of the Miami-Dade County Commissioners Council, has presented a zoning block of the use of the Hard Rock Cafe Stadium. This is a home, of course, of the Miami Dolphins, which is held for American football and sport and events in a stadium, not motor racing events. Even though Liberty Media have presented a 10-year plan for the racing to start in May of 2021, there is no actual plans for any construction or any work of that nature to be held at the stadium. Therefore, she has requested a deferral date until February the 4th, which is next Tuesday from this date, or February 4th if you are not listening on this day. This is where the race will be decided. Now, there has been plans, everything has been put into place. There is a lot of obstacles that they need to avoid, including 199th Street, which they have been told is an area of concern. Everyone has been notified, local residents have been told about the race, and some authorities in the Miami district have held up their hands and said it is a good race. As I said, there's no commissions, there's no construction work, and there's no plans of any nature involved to actually construct the circuit, and this is where problems are happening. They've definitely said that they will not be able to build it before 2021, and even if they do, they will not be able to get the permits for the race. Now, the race is looking to be held in May, but now we're looking at 2022. But all that has been said is that the referral date, where it will be decided, it will be on February 4th, so we will have to wait until that day. Now, my personal opinion, a race around Miami, I think that is amazing. I love NFL. I kind of like the Miami Dolphins, I guess. So a race around there would be great. You know, Florida is a great place. It's probably one of the closest kind of main cities to us here in the UK. But that race, I'm not a big fan of. So one of the big things, of course, is what it's going to do to the stadium and the fans that are going into the stadium. It's going to be built around the car parks and kind of cluttering up a little bit of kind of hallowed ground. But they will all have to work that out. As I started this video and said, did you ever think we would be going to Hanoi? Now, guys, if you do know me, then you will know I couldn't mention Miami without mentioning the big event, which of course is the Super Bowl. This will be happening on February 2nd, 2 days before the decision. Now, in my opinion, I think that they've tried to make the decision after the Super Bowl because of that event. They will find out so much. What's everything like around the stadium? What's the parking like? What's the construction zones like? What's the tailgating like? And of course, they will not want to put any plans into consideration because if you are like San Francisco, for example, you cross the country and you're tailgating outside the stadium and there's some asphalt or some construction workers. You will not want that, especially not on your big day. Anyway, so that's why I think they've put that decision there to kind of find out what it's going to be like. But nevertheless, it has hit a wall, definitely a bigger wall than any of the previous races have. Sochi, that was brought in 2014. The plans were put in straight away. Of course, the Vietnamese Grand Prix, even the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Baku, the street circuit around the capital of Azerbaijan. No problems. Miami looks to be the one that's holding everything up. Of course, leave it in the comment section below. What do you think about the race? Do you like it? Do you not like it? And of course, what do you think will happen in the future? But we'll have to wait until that day, Tuesday, February 4th, 2020, to find out what the decision is about Miami. In terms of the look of the track, it looks good, it looks challenging. And of course, the main thing is for Formula One fans and drivers, it's a change and it's another race on the calendar, which will make the calendar longer and of course, Formula One more exciting. Let's wind the clock back a little bit. In 2010, 10 years ago, did you know where you would be? Did you know you would be here right now? What did you think back then? That's exactly what we have to kind of do right now. It's 2020. And we have to think about the future. And we have to think, even just a little bit, about 2030. A few months ago, Formula One made the plans, or said, that they were going to become carbon neutral by 2030. Now, of course, Formula One is a very big, a very loud, a very petrol-head thing. It's obviously been like that. We are celebrating 70 years in the sport and 70 years of being fast and furious. Formula E is the electronic version. That's where this conversation should be going. But of course, in the world of climate change and things like that, Formula One does have to change. In 2014, we changed to a very more electrical hybrid system of Formula One with the V6s. But even that might be changing. 2021 has brought some changes to the engine, but of course no specification in terms of V6 or anything like that. But in 2020, we are changing to a carbon neutral, but nothing has been put into play. What will that mean for Formula One? Well, the plan needs to be right now. That's why I said about the 10 years ago. We need to start thinking about that now. And Pat Simmons, the CTO of Williams Racing and an ambassador for Liberty Media, thinks he might have the answer. Pat Simmons has put forward that the engine suppliers and the technical consultants at teams need to be collaborating with other teams on their power units. Now, we've had collaborations before in engines and sponsorships and things like this, but that's just for money and things like that. But this is to help Formula One in the future. No one mind is going to be as good as the other. It would be better if all the minds from Maranello and Banbury and Milton Keynes could all come together. Of course, they are looking at 2021 regulations. That's where every team is thinking about. But if they could think about 2030, then that would be a better chance. Now, he has put forward that in 2024, 25 or 26 is where the Constructor Championship teams need to decide about a collaboration to become carbon neutral in Formula One, because nothing is in place right now. If we know something's going to be happening in the future, we may as well tackle it head on, and that's where we should be right now. All the best minds in Formula One should be coming together to try and tackle problems on climate change and things like that, any problems with the engines, and how to improve for the future. And of course, when the news first came out, people might have been a bit upset and, thinking Formula One was just about petrol, and of course not about changing to electronics or anything like this. And if we have all of the minds of Formula One looking forward and thinking about the next 10 years of evolution to hopefully achieve something that's still good for the fans, for the drivers, and still keeps the name of Formula One in Formula One, then we should have something good in play for 2030. And he could be, Pat Simmons, the big ambassador and a changer of our times. So that's looking good. And of course, it came from a Williams mind. So you never know. Williams could be driving this charge. And in 10 years' time, we could see Williams at the front. I mean, possibly, I guess. Of course, leave it in the comment section below about this. What do you think about our plans for 2030? And do you think that we should be looking for a collaboration? Now, we've had shared engines before. Of course, sometimes that might not have been the best thing. We only have a few constructors in right now. Ferrari engines, Mercedes engines, Renault engines, and Honda engines. But what happens if we get to 2030 and everyone's using the same engine? But if it's a good engine that will help the environment and help the sport in the future, is that such a bad thing? Let us know in the comment section below about this topic. Wait, hold on a minute. Wait there, I'm just sending a text. Oh, I've got a new like on Instagram. That seems to be the way that the world's running right now, isn't it? There's a social media gap. And Formula One has definitely embraced that. Sometimes it's one or the other, good and bad. Of course, people can share feelings. But the people that are coming into Formula One right now are the generation that grew up on iPhones and love social media. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Lando Norris, the man who has changed Formula One possibly for the better. He has brought social media in a new light. Now, of course, yes, there is younger guys, as well as Lando Norris, George Russell, and people like that, Alexander Albon, even Charles Leclerc, who is the older of the younger guys, kind of the older brother of all the other drivers. And they're still on they're still on social media as well. But Lando Norris seems to be the one who's leading the forefront on this. He's 19, he's younger than me, and boy is he on social media and more. Does Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, everything like that to share everything about Formula One. Now he's come out with a statement saying social media is good for himself, but mainly for the fans to get a better knowledge about Formula One. Now this year, Lando Norris has shared almost every single thing about his personal and professional life on Instagram and Facebook and all platforms of social media. He's been racing online with Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc. And this has actually been a praised side of Lando Norris from Zach Brown and Andreas Seidel, and especially Carlos Sainz, a man who is a bit older and might not get Formula One social media. But he's been praised for how well he's actually come across of presenting Formula One to the younger generations and on social media. Now, I think this is a great thing because we are getting a better insight. If you follow Lando Norris, you can see everything about it. He does racing on Twitch and streams online and on YouTube. He does open questionnaires. Is this the way that we are going? Also, esports. That's, of course, taken off. And Lando Norris is an ambassador for esports. So it does look like this has no real downsides. And, of course, you look at the front. Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel. The battles that they must have. But the battles on, kind of off track, are on social media. Lewis, we know everything about him because he loves social media, but Sebastian Vettel is not. We didn't even know he was getting married until one reporter let it slide. I think it was Germany, which, bad reporter, that's not good. If he doesn't want you to know, but hey-ho, you are a reporter at the end of the day. So yes, social media, it is good, but it's got a weird twist on it. But Lando is the man who, of course, is leading the charge on social media. But that also brings me on to a final point from my perspective and what has been shared in the past. Unfortunately, I don't know who it was by, but I just saw it out the corner of my eye a few months ago. And that was that Lando had said that he wants to drop a little bit of kind of his millennial wackiness and focus more on driving. Now, do you believe that Lando has to do this to become a better driver? Do you believe that he can drive and Instagram at the same time? I mean, obviously not at the same time. But do you think that social media is hindering his performance? Or it's helping him? Or it's even letting him improve? But all I know is that he does believe that it's better for the fans to see an inside and also to gain knowledge. And it also inspired him to get into Formula One. Let us know in the comment section below about this. You, of course, are using social media to tell me what you think, so bear that in mind. And yes, do you think social media is good to have in Formula One? Transfer talk now, and here are some of the biggest team signings for this week. French driver Hadrian David and Australian driver Oscar Piastri both joined the Renault Junior programme. Oscar is driving for Prima in the 2020 Formula 3 Championship, and Hadrian David is the reigning Formula 4 Championship, and he will also join MP Sport in the Formula Renault Euro Cup. And British driver Max Futrell switches to High-Tech Grand Prix race team for the 2020 F3 Championship. Danish driver Christian Lundgaard will race for ART in the 2020 Formula 2 Championship. The 19-year-old also signed for the Renault Sporting Academy after a successful year with the team in the F3 Championship last year, finishing 6th in the World Championship. And a big Formula 1 technical move now, as ex-McLaren technical director Pat Fry, who also worked with Benetton and the championship-winning Ferrari, moves to Renault as the technical director after next Wednesday, February 5th, ahead of winter testing in Catalonia. Now, he has already implemented the 2021 changes to McLaren for next season. Now his new chapter is to go to Renault, the French team, and help them in their pursuit of getting back to winning ways in 2021. One story we don't have much news on at the moment, but could be a big story for the future, is that the Chinese Grand Prix in Shanghai for Formula 1 and the Sanya E-Prix for Formula E are both under threat after the coronavirus is spreading through China and the country is officially declared on lockdown. Now, this is heartbreaking news for everyone affected by this situation, and of course the Formula 1 community and Formula E community, as it might not be returning to China for the future. Now, hopefully there is a cure and there is a way around this situation, but our thoughts and prayers, of course, are with China at this time. The well-being is more important than Formula 1 any day. The global sporting community was rocked on Sunday after the devastating news of the passing of Kobe Bryant, aged 41. Kobe was a massive inspiration to many sporting stars around the world, including Lewis Hamilton, who took to Twitter for his tribute. He said, "I'm sad to hear that we have lost one of our greats, Kobe Bryant. Was one of the greatest athletes and such an inspiration to so many, including myself. I'm deeply saddened for his family and for the people around the world who looked up to him. May he and his daughter rest in peace." And of course, our thoughts, prayers and respects are with the Bryant family and the NBA at this time. Now that is the end of Formula 1 24/7 news. This is the second edition by the F1 Debate Show. Now, we hope you can join us next Wednesday for our third edition. But one second, this is a little bit of housekeeping, I guess. You've heard me, especially if you're new to the channel, you've heard me talking, but the channel's called the F1 Debate Show. Where is the debating? And also, wasn't there a second guy that I'm supposed to be with? All those statements are correct. Now, the F1 Debate Show, that's been running for 145 episodes, has got its 146th. It's brand new for 2020 and the decade, and this will be on Saturday, the 1st of February at 6 p.m. UK time. If this is ahead of time, then please go and watch it again. But if you are new to this channel, welcome. We hope you enjoy, and please check us out on this episode 146. We are back to talk about the 2020 season. We are so excited. It's been such a long winter break, but Formula 1 is almost in sight. To be honest, it is, guys. Come on, head up. We've got the car launches, then winter testing, and then we're in Australia. It's bang, bang, bang. It just happens really, really fast. So come on, head up, chin up. You've almost done it. You've almost there. I'm so excited. We hope you can join us then. Thank you very much for listening to us. Of course, leave a comment about everything I've talked about in this episode. We hope you can stick around with us, and of course, anything you'd like to talk about, let us know in the comment section below. Now, guys, please, please, please keep the comment section clean and respectful. Please respect everything that I've said in this episode. Myself and Jordan and every fan who comments, we will only accept, of course, happy messages. It's Formula 1. It's a happy community. We are all happy and we're all friends. Thank you very much for listening. And yes, we hope you can stick with us through 2020. If you are new, please drop us a like and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, guys, until Saturday, I will see you later.